Don't change it.
It's okay.
It's okay.
Hey guys, so we're welcome to Herding Little Cows. There's Mark and I.
Evening edition.
Yes. We were not necessarily planning to do a video tonight, but we had a couple different things to talk about. So, first we'll talk about what we were going to talk about in the video today, and then our life got crazy.
Yeah.
So yesterday we were watching a YouTube channel called Smarter Every Day, which is Destin
Sandlin.
Yep.
And
he just does really cool things talking about science in layperson's terms so you can figure out different things. So we were watching this video and it was about him going up in some big
Was it F-16? One of the Thunderbirds, the Air Force Thunderbirds.
And they were showing how they did different twists and turns, and he had to put on a G-suit, and they were going to do 9G things. And he had to... Sorry, Mark's having a hard night.
Okay.
On the show, he was going to go with one of them and go up and do these maneuvers. So he had to learn how to breathe and do all those things. And while he was doing the maneuvers, he did a 7.2 maneuver, and he almost passed out.
7.2 Gs.
7.2 Gs.
Yep.
Makes your head feel like it's 70 pounds. And if you want to watch it, we'll try to leave a link to it down here. It's really interesting, and we watched it. We have a grumbly boy tonight. We watched it with our kids. They thought it was very interesting. But anyway, on that video, he went to see a scientist who showed him what... you see yourself and you
He
can't...
won't stop looking.
He wants to touch the camera. Okay. So he went to see a scientist who was going to show him why his brain did that. And the scientist put him in this revolving chair, this spinny chair. Okay. I need to take the baby out.
Yep.
And I will be back.
Yep.
Hold on. You talk, Mark.
I don't have a whole lot to say this time of night. This is the time of night that we don't invite guests over, because as days progress, 3 p.m., 4 p.m., 5 p.m., I can go from able to help with things and do things and be a participant and an adult type person and a daddy and a husband to being a schlub who can barely...
But today's been a
talk.
bad day all day.
Today's been this way kind of all day.
So, anyway, the video. So on this video, they put him in a chair to spin around really fast. Think an office chair, but very fast. And so she spun him around, and he had to put his thumbs up and decide which way he was turning.
Right.
So the whole point of it was it messed with his inner ear.
Right.
He thought that he was moving, like he had to have his eyes closed during this. He thought he was still moving when he was stopped. And when they put the camera on his eyes, when he immediately opened his eyes were going and he thought the room was still spinning. What was really interesting about this video is when we were in Florida in February, Mark one night, we didn't know it at the time, but the barometric pressure was dropping, which we have found has been a trigger for his dystonic storms.
So we were sitting around reading the Bible.
We were sitting for an hour reading the Bible. He had not been moving. And suddenly...
I'm sitting still on my own couch with just my kids around me. And it's during Bible time. So there's no running, there's no yelling, there's no balls flying.
Everyone was being quiet.
Everyone's sitting quietly.
Very
we're just
nice,
sitting still.
And we were sitting there, and all of a sudden Mark's like, oh, I need to go lay down. I need to go lay down. For any of you who saw the live stream last week where he fell down, it was kind of like that. He just suddenly needed to go lay down.
Seriously dizzy, though.
Really, really dizzy. So he went into the bedroom, barely made it, almost fell over. And the bedroom from the couch of the camper is...
3 steps.
Yeah, not very far.
Yeah.
So he lays down. Naomi went to make sure he got laid down. And then she was going to come back out to the living room. And he said something like, don't leave me, because he felt so terrible. He had never had this bad of a reaction to anything.
I didn't know if I was going to throw up or pass out, but it was... If you've ever been spinning around in circles and you can't stop, that's kind of what it felt like.
But anyway, when I went in to check on him, his eyes were doing the exact same thing that Destin's eyes were doing, going in the revolving chair. But he hadn't been moving. So... Right,
I was sitting still. This guy, they had to spin him around really fast.
Lots of times.
And lots of times, and then stop him. And because of the fluid in his inner ear... The fluid's still moving around because it got his body going long enough that it actually had that force staying with it. And then when you stop your body and your ears are still spinning around like this. So it thinks you're still spinning, and that's why his eyes are doing this. Well, I was sitting still for an hour reading. So what would cause your eyeballs to do that?
So it was very strange. So we ended up doing this. We looked on YouTube and found this thing where he had to sit up and then lay down and tuck his chin, and it had something to do with how the ear canals work. It helps the crystals in your ear settle back down to where they're supposed to be. So anyway,
whatever that means. It
somewhat worked, but he still had a really rough night that night. We haven't had that.
And that was, we found out from a friend who has a similar condition to mine that barometric pressure drops will do that. And lo and behold, when that began to happen was at the pinnacle of a major pressure dump that it took me hours to recover from.
There was a tornado coming in that night.
Yeah.
Like tornado storms.
We don't have tornadoes in Maine, and we don't have major barometric pressure drops like that as they do in Tampa, but
we have them very few and far between. But yeah, that really messed him up. And so it was just interesting watching that video last night and seeing Destin's eyes made us aware of Mark's issue. So again, this is a shout out to Smarter Every Day. Thank you for teaching me something about my husband.
Yeah.
And Smarter Every Day is very interesting. There's a lot of episodes
educational and fun. Very good. Not. I mean, he posts Bible verses at the end. I don't know exactly where he stands on things, but it's family friendly.
He says he's a Christian.
Like it's family friendly, educational, entertainment.
Most of them. There's one interesting one about the rainforest that you should watch before you getting bitten by some type of something does something to men. We'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
Don't watch that one with
There's our plug for Smarter Every Day, everybody.
But we really enjoyed that. So anyway, that taught us something. So then, coming to today. Mark has had a bad day all day. He woke up this morning saying, I think I have a little bit of a headache. And then when it was time to go to the table for breakfast, Mark couldn't get off the couch. So we ended up not doing the walk this morning. I
didn't walk anywhere today. I didn't walk probably 50 steps around the house all day long. I've been messed up all day long.
Yeah, he walked out to the back porch.
I haven't checked the barometric pressure yet, though. Maybe that's...
I don't know. So anyway, he's had a bad day all day. And then on top of all of that, we got a phone call today at around 1 o'clock from so Mark was working at a hospital before this last set of spells started.
The third time that the hospital hired me, I did good work. I began to have health problems, and because of my own safety and the safety of those around me and the patients that I was caring for, they had to let me go on a medical discharge, just saying this person is not safe to take care of people or to work here. We can't have them in the building. So
Mark was working as a CNA before this last set of these started. We think because of a hit in the back of the head restarted these issues. That's a kind of long story in itself. But while he was working, he was paying into a long-term disability thing.
Insurance.
Yeah.
Actually, it was provided free by my employer, so I didn't actually pay into it. But the premium was paid, and it was provided.
It was being paid as if you get long-term disabled, you'll get this.
Right.
So anyway, he's been getting that for the past 2 years.
Yep.
You have been getting it.
We had to fight with them for about 6 months, and then they agreed to on a short term. And they've been kind of playing that game every month since. It's I'm getting $119.33 a month. That is their minimum benefit. And they call and bug me and want to talk to me for half an hour, and then they use... Well, we'll get into that.
Mark doesn't have...
Not happy.
Mark isn't able to talk on the phone because of this condition. It messes him up. So they call regularly and ask him hard questions, saying, if you don't answer these questions, we're going to take you off the insurance, and that messes Mark up for a whole day.
Right.
So they called today. I answered the phone because Mark was having a bad day. They told me that because it's been 2 years and Mark's latest neurologist has said that Mark could return to work, that they're going to stop our things.
Yeah, they're going to stop paying us.
They're going to stop paying us. So I know that doesn't seem like a lot of money to people, but it is money that had been paid in for this issue. So it's kind of like if you get if a accident happens by somebody hitting your car and you've been paying car insurance, you rightfully should get the money.
Right. That's why you pay for it.
But also, the reason they're taking it away isn't fair, and we can appeal this, so we'll see what we need to do.
Right.
But Mark has been seeing a doctor for 15 years now, who has walked with us through these steps. In this latest round of things, he sent us to a neurologist in Portland. The neurologist in Portland saw us for just a few minutes, didn't do any of the tests, and told Mark that he did not have dystonia. We specifically mentioned dystonia at the time.
Because my brother's had a diagnosis for 10 years now.
Right. Mark's brothers had it. When we mentioned it, this neurologist, who has never seen Mark's brother, told us that Mark's brother does not have dystonia, and that Mark doesn't have dystonia, and that it was a functional movement disorder.
Psychological.
Conversion disorder, which means it's all in his head.
Right.
So that's the diagnosis.
Can you make your eyeballs do this in your head? Can you do that? I can't do that. At least I don't think I can.
So that was 2.5 years ago that we got that diagnosis.
Right.
So every doctor we've gone to since then has used that same diagnosis. So he went for some memory cognitive testing.
Right.
They said, because you have this conversion disorder, that's why the test came out the way that it did. Everything has been based on that diagnosis.
Yeah, they said Mark is highly intelligent and highly articulate, and yet he scored really low in basic memory, comprehension, cognitive processing, sequencing, pattern recognition, and all this kind of stuff. So they said, you're really smart, but you failed the test, so it must be because you're making it up in your head. It's psychological. That causes your eyeballs to do this. Yeah.
So there's a lot of things that don't add up here. We can't get into all of them, but we then have done a couple other tests, went to see this new doctor who we enjoyed. We enjoyed this new doctor, so I'm not saying anything particularly against him. But when we went into his office, we went in saying, Mark has these memory issues. Mark has these cognitive issues. And he said, we're not here for that. I am a functional movement
just a movement disorder.
Movement disorder specialist.
Right.
And I'm here to see if you have, like, what's causing this movement disorder.
My movement disorder is probably 10% of my problems. You know, my head moving around and my hands and things like that are obnoxious, but they are by no means the bulk of my problem. So he was just like that one piece of the puzzle.
Right.
That's all
we went to that doctor. He was able to set Mark off into some of these spells. We got an answer that he believes Mark has a physical condition of dystonia, which is the same thing that Mark's brother has. So
which is why he's doing genetic testing. If you think something's in someone's head, you don't do genetic testing. So you don't spend that kind of money.
The next tests we have to do are lumbar puncture and genetic testing because of coronavirus and our issues with Josiah having seizures, which you've probably seen that video. We're working on getting Mark safely into a hospital to be able to do that.
But that's not happening right now.
That doctor told the insurance company that Mark could do sedentary work where he's not startled, no cold exposure, and
doesn't have to make decisions.
There was something else.
He
didn't say something.
He didn't say that.
No, it was something else to do with your movement that set you off.
Yeah. So anyway, the idea that the startle reflex that I have is debilitating at times. It can literally, if you drop a cup, you can literally knock me on the floor.
Right.
At times. That's not all the time, but that's at times.
So what this doctor said, who we were seeing about the movement, said Mark could have a job working in an office around adults without these, triggers. Right. That makes sense if you take into...
That's one piece of the puzzle.
Yeah, that's one piece of the puzzle. But we haven't had an answer for the cognitive and memory and all of those things. Yeah. And you cannot hold it on a job when you cannot answer the phone or look at the computer screen for long periods of time.
Or make decisions.
Or remember that you have a patient that's on the toilet. He can't hold down a job when he can't do those things.
Right. And there are times, this is most of the time I have a lot of these, but it's only part of the time when some of the harder manifestations happen.
So when he has a movement, because the movement disorder specialist said that he could do these things for the part of what he was looking at, the insurance company has said that Mark cannot have the insurance anymore.
Interestingly enough, they got records from the movement disorder specialist from my primary care doctor. My primary care doctor, who I spoke to this afternoon, is not very happy, shall I say, with them. Because he has said since August of 2017 that there's no way whatsoever that I could work. There's no job that he could imagine, even like a greeter at Walmart who literally just sits and waves at people, which they used to have those before they had the people outside the door with the masks and stuff.
So So that has all led to Mark is not going to be getting this disability. We can appeal this, so we're going to work on whatever we have to do.
This is not our major income. We are not asking for money. We're not. That's not what
we're just trying to share
Explain
the trials. The trials. The other thing that we are upset about is that this insurance company looked at our videos to show that because Mark is sometimes okay, he should be able to go get a job.
That's right.
So that's another thing that has set us, because on the records that they sent us, they said, because we've seen that you did ministry, because we've seen that you teach the scripture to your children, that means that you could work. And
so they
could
talk
get a
about
job.
Me teaching my kids about the Bible, going to church, and doing ministry. They only mentioned 3 things. Every one of them is about how Christian we are.
And
that seems suspect to me.
And they don't see the times, or they have neglected to see the times where we say we can't go do ministry because Mark's having a hard time, or Mark had to leave church today in the wheelchair because he's not doing well.
Or Mark just fell over and you guys all watched it.
So that was a problem. They also said in the thing that Mark should get a job working in an office setting with adults where he wouldn't have the startle and the chaos of a house filled with children. They specifically said that on the record.
They don't like our kids. They think our children are the reason I'm stressed. Our children are not the reason I'm stressed.
They might sometimes be the
reason at times,
stressed,
certainly. I mean, they're kids. But generally, our home is a place where I feel safe. I feel comfortable. The people that are around me all know my issues. They know my triggers. They try to avoid them if at all possible. And if I'm not feeling well, they'll help and they'll care for me and all those kind of things like they have to do.
More than once, my mother has set him off because she's dropped something, or something has come out of the container too fast where she, and...
Just don't do that.
Thought you would know that it was coming.
No, even if I don't know.
Even if he knows it's coming, it doesn't work. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is what we live with every day. So.
But I'm fine.
So anyway, so that just... The fact that they said that he should get a job out of the house because it's our children causing the problem. I already feel like we caused the problem a lot.
No.
Because we set him off. So.
Anything.
That's hard to hear for them to say, well, if you just got out of your house, you'd feel better.
Right. So, yeah, they're sticking their nose in. Like, there's already, as a parent, as a wife, you always want to see what you can do better to help people that you love. And it's not fair for some total disconnected person on the outside to read a couple pieces of paper and then say, your children are your problem. You've seen our videos. Our children are not our problem. They're not a problem. They're a blessing. Even in the difficult times, they're still a blessing. But I can say that the most stressful times that we've had has been dealing with an insurance company that every single month wants to make you sign 17 more pieces of paper and ask you when your next doctor's appointment is, and I don't know because I can't remember and I can't talk on the phone very well, so they set me off into a spell that then she has to deal with taking care of me. Because if people don't do certain things, if certain stressors don't happen, I can have a day where I build things and play with the children and have a good time and have intelligent conversation and teach my family things. I can, at times. Sorry.
So... We're
a little frustrated.
That was the frustrating negative part of our video. But here's the encouraging part.
Good. I was hoping there was one of those.
We know that God is sovereign through all of this, and that God has a plan for all of this. But sometimes God just shows off. I don't know what you want to call it. God just shows you that, yes, I'm here, and I see your frustration, and I see your worry. So today, we decided to take advantage of grabbing some pizza for supper.
Right.
A couple weeks ago, my mom bought us pizza at Domino's, and we had a problem with it. So I just sent in an email saying we got the wrong pizza. There were problems with 2 of the pizzas we had gotten. Not big deal. I just wanted to let them know so that they could fix whatever the issue was. So a couple weeks later, I was doing some stuff on my phone, and I realized that there was a voicemail I had never listened to. And so I listened to it, and it was a voice saying, hi, I'm the manager here at the local Domino's, and we made a problem, so we put a credit on your phone. And so I'm not going to mention numbers or anything, but it was a good amount of money that he put on our thing. So that was, I called Mom, said we had this. So today I said to Mom, do you mind if we use that credit? Because she knew that it had been a stressful day, and I just thought it would be a good way to break up the day because, when parents are stressed, kids see the stress. Even if you're trying to hide it, kids know that things are going on, and we just decided to break up the day by doing this.
Yeah.
So I called to order the pizzas. There is confusion. They say, oh, it's not as much as you think it is. We'll give you this other credit. So I get to the store and say, I got this message. I think it's from this certain guy. I think I heard this name on the call.
Like, I'll play you the message.
And the lady's like, I'm new here. Can I go get management? And I was like, yeah, go ahead, whatever. So she went and got the management, and he came out and was very, very kind. Found out there was a problem with our order. Go ahead.
Right. He was actually the one that had taken the initial phone call.
Yeah.
And he's the voice that was on the message saying, hey, this is so-and-so, and you have this credit. You have this credit that we put on your account, and then someone else was saying, it's actually only half of that.
So he was very kind. He came out. They had trouble finding our pizzas because for some reason my name on tonight's pizza was F, the letter F. So they couldn't find Sarah or Copperthwaite or anything like that. So anyway, he went and got our pizza. And through his graciousness, through God's hand in all of this, because we know that God is responsible for all these things, he actually credited us for the whole pizza
the whole
tonight,
order. And
we ended up not paying anything, and it was just amazing at the end of this stressful day with everything that God was like, even on this little thing of just a pizza order, I'm gonna bless you guys so you know that I'm still here. I don't know, it was a time to just be thankful for everything God has done for us. Not that we weren't thankful before, but I don't know, it was just,
we keep saying it's God provides for all of our needs. It's not the insurance company that takes care of us. It's not whatever.
And it was one of those.
It's God. It's God that puts these things into place. It's God who orchestrated that we would get the wrong pizzas so that we could get a whole pile of free pizzas, and it was just a blessing to hear that and to see it, because we had a pretty rough day.
Well, and it was just a little stressful because knowing that our income just went down with this credit, it would have been very cheap for our family to, the amount that we would have paid extra for the extra pizza would have been would have been what we would have spent on a meal had I bought all the ingredients at the store, how our budget works.
Right.
So then to have to go out and just say to Mark, I know we were thinking it was going to be less, but it's actually going to be more because they don't have the right thing. It was just a little stressful on top of everything else. Not that Mark was upset about the money. It was just one of those that I was just like, okay, so I'm spending more of this money that we now don't have because of the insurance thing. And then God had it. God paid for the pizza.
God covered it for us.
So hopefully that was
so our
encouraging.
neighborhood Domino's people are messengers of God, whether or not they know it.
So, yes, thank you for our local Domino's. Yeah. We don't go very often, but it was a nice break up for the family to break up. That didn't sound right. A nice break for the family today. So sorry for this discouraging,
choppy, rambling, grumbling. Yeah. I'm sorry.
So Mark's eyes do funny things. Insurance companies are stressful to deal with because they're looking at your name on a piece of paper and they listen to what information sounds good at the time.
Whichever is convenient. It's always interesting that people find ways to agree with the stuff that means they don't have to spend money or change their lives.
And it's one of those, we're not mad at the lady who calls us that we talk to on the phone. She's a very nice lady and we know she's just doing what her company tells her to do. So it's kind of like yelling at the waitress when it's the chef's fault in the back. We're not upset at her. It's just how the whole system runs.
I don't know. Whoever wrote the letter that said that it was bad for me to hold my baby, or to read my children the Bible, and neglected all the other things that they obviously saw on social media that shows the truth. Those pictures of me laying down and those videos of me falling apart, and
pictures of me pushing him over.
Dozens of them that have been on our page and actually get more views than anything else that we ever publish, because people like to see a really big guy flopping around on the floor, unable to take control of his body. So it's sad when people manipulate the situation, but you know what? God is still in control. Yeah. And God is still providing for all of our needs. And again, we're not asking for anything here. God has supplied all of our needs. He's faithful, in spite of all of the stupidity that we deal with.
So, just letting you know what's going on with us. And hopefully you've heard some encouragement in that, God being sovereign over all things.
Maybe we should tell them about the book.
What book?
The book we just read.
Oh, so we just
That's
finished...
an encouraging thing. It's kind of hard on me. I don't know about anybody else, but...
We just finished the book Pitch in a Fit by Brooke and Israel Wayne.
Right. And
they are a homeschool couple. You hear lots of stories in the book about their past and how they can speak to this idea of anger. But talking about anger, even if it's just frustration with your kids, and how to biblically deal with that anger, and how to teach your children through affirmation and not anger all the time. And so it's brought up some good points. We actually read it with the 2 older girls. We usually discuss it between ourselves. Right. Because, like, as the book's saying, your children should not be your accountability partners. Like, it doesn't help when you're in the middle of a fight for the kid to be like, hey, Daddy, you're being a little angry. You didn't want to be angry, remember? Right.
But, we do teach them those principles and read them the books and tell them things, but we don't sit around and say, well, you really struggle with this, or I've noticed this about me.
So we read the book aloud with the girls after the little ones go to bed, and then we discuss it.
But we finished the book tonight. Anyway.
We finished it, and it was a really good book. So Pitch in a Fit, you can get it at their site, which is
FamilyRenewal.org. I'm not sure.
We'll try to put that link on. But they've got some great books.
And we're not getting paid for that one either. We actually had to buy the book.
Smarter Every Day
and
Family Renewal.
Yeah.
So
nobody's getting any credit. Like we're good.
If you can hear
just loving on people.
If you can hear Israel or Brooke Wayne speak, I've never actually heard Brooke, but I've heard Israel on some conferences, and he's really good. So they do like podcasts and stuff like that. It's just I've heard her. So that's what we got.
All right, that's all.
I gotta go get the baby. He's upset.
We're gonna go find a baby.
We know where he is. He's not like missing. Oh. We don't have to go find him.
She's gonna go get the baby.
I'm gonna go get him.
I'm gonna lay down. Night, everybody.
Good night.